Hello, my name is Vinud, and today I will be making a video presentation on the landing gear of the Cessna 172. This is the R model, and this is personally a Skyhawk that I fly. It's November 3536 Golf. So this is considered a fixed gear. So you have your main landing gear and you have your nose gear. So anytime before flight, you start off with your pre-flight inspection to make sure there's no damage to your gears, because in reality, besides the engine, the landing gear does get you off and into the air safely and bring you back home safely. So if we look at the main landing gear, we'll check for a few components. So we have, which is obviously the tire. You want to check for any leakage, any scarring, or any metal, which is just going to be a mesh that's inside the tire. So you want to make sure that it's not visible. Along with that, you want to check your fork to make sure there's not any damage to the fork, because the nose gear does take impact on landing at times. So check your fork. As you can see, there is some type of corrosion here, but it's not severe enough to be a no-go. And which is pretty normal being in Hawaii. We do have a lot of corrosion, and again, this is not severe enough, so this is not going to worry me much. You want to check your cotter pins, make sure they're all locked in and in place, along with your shimmy damper, which reduces the dampering up on takeoff, and your audio strut to make sure they're intact and not broken. Now, if you're getting ready for taxi, or actually if your airplane's sitting prior to taxi and you push the pedals, the nose gear will not turn, because your airplane needs to be in motion in order to turn using the rudder pedals. As for the main landing gear back here, so here they're considered the main landing gear because you mainly want to land on your main landing gears when coming in for landing. You never want it to land on your nose gear. So the main landing gear, I also inspect the tire to make sure there's no damage, no leakage, no scarring, and there's nothing showing. To inspect the entire tire, you can move the airplane forward or push it back so you get a full 360 view of the tire itself. As you can tell, this one is nicely lubed, so I can tell a mechanic has been here to service this tire. Moving on to the other components. So the landing gear is actually very similar, or the braking system is very similar to a car. It's all operated with hydraulic fluids. So when you're inside the airplane and you tap on your brakes, the hydraulic fluids comes to your braking system, which locks the brakes. Now, just to describe a few components, you have your disc right here. So you want to inspect your disc for any scarring of any sort, and just to double check for any hydraulic leaks from your hoses. If you move up here, you have a small step which you will use to go into the airplane. You never want to step anywhere else. Now there's a bar that's over the scowling here. It's not easily visible, but if you look in here with a flashlight, you'll be able to have a better view of the bar. And again, just this last component here, this is just your brake caliper. Again, just like a car, so it's not too much different or very complicated. Now, if we move into the cockpit, and again, once you're doing your pre-flight inspection, you want to check both sides. So it's the same deal on this side. You want to check for any scarring, any leakage of any sort, and make sure there's no visible metal showing anywhere on the tire. Now, once you're in a cockpit, after you have your pre-flight inspection complete, you want to move at least 5 feet forward once you have your engine going, and just tap on your brakes, nice and slow, not too hard, just to double test your brakes. So the way you would do that is by pushing your pedals on top, which controls the braking. Now, when making turns, you can use differential braking, which means you're using brakes and your turning tendency to make the airplane turn as you're giving it power. When the airplane is sitting still, you won't be able to turn the airplane or the nose wheel. You have to be in motion, so usually while taxiing. And these are all the components that make up the landing gear. Thank you.